You want to see political theater that it's not just theater in the sense that this person is trying to project something, because let's say, I don't know, maybe they're trying to pass a bill, or maybe they're trying to pretend that they care about somebody. Oh, we care about the babies, the little kids. Nothing like that. Not, grabbing a black baby and kissing a baby and, none of that. None of that. That's political theater. That's true, but that's one type of political theater. Political theater on another level, where you literally put your life on the line because you don't want to appear weak and you are profoundly, prodigiously embarrassed. Donald Trump has taken a certain cadence attacking this notion of playing down the disease, the virus, even though he was perfectly understood, talking about Woodward, that this was serious, that this was dangerous, that this was worse than the flu. And in spite of knowing that, all the way back to February, incompetence. But also a rationality based on the notion of, I need to keep the economy going because the economy is the thing that I'm going to use to make my case to get back in office for 2020. And it goes to the dogs. Tits up entirely. And you have 30 million people that are out of a job. And if people don't have jobs, where are they going to get money to pay for rent, food, childcare, car note? Where are they going to get money to pay for these things? How are they going to pay for their life? How are they going to keep the lights on? How are they going to keep the water running? How are they going to do these things? How are they going to live? How are they going to pay for their health insurance? Oh, that's right. They can't. That's why you have, 20, 30 million people without health care. How are they going to pay their rents? Oh, that's right. They can't. That's why you have eviction spikes. It's estimated to the tune of millions. How are they going to live even? Because the instigator for this is, of course, COVID-19. And while it's true that 42% of the country lived off of $18,000 a year, basically a poverty wage, that was before the crisis. And even in the context of crisis, of course, it gets dramatically worse. Horrible, going to absolute desperate. You have a situation where this doesn't look like it's changing. Congress doesn't seem to care. The president put executive orders out. Those orders are only going to go so far, if they're going to go far at all. And you have a public that is desperate. The president has decided now, at this moment, to show optics. 200,000 people dead. 7 million people infected. With a disproportionate number being African American or Hispanic. Because those were people on the front lines that didn't have the capacity to work from home. They didn't have the capacity to sit somewhere else and not work at all because they didn't necessarily have to work because they had 2 ice boxes with $100 million in the bank. No, you're talking about a skew in your society, meaning the poverty of your society and the people who were in poverty of society got worse. The worst end of it got worse. The people who were in the middle class, meaning the higher up your income went, the more you were able to leave that situation and stay in a bubble. The president of the United States, after downplaying it, after not doing the job to get the respirators, after having 200,000 people die, Americans die, and after having all of this chaos and havoc in the country, that same president that is downplayed it, that said it was unmanly to wear a mask, gets hit. God got involved. Get me to a hospital. 11 have now been infected at this point that has been around this president, Typhoid Murray Trump. And he goes to the hospital. He's embarrassed. It's unmanly to get sick, right? If it's unmanly to wear a mask, it's damn sure unmanly to get sick. So Trump browbeats his doctors and gets out early. They hit him with a battering ram of drugs. experimental drugs, vitamin D, all of this stuff. No hydroxychloroquine, none of that, but everything else. And Trump, with Secret Service trapped in the car in a hermetically sealed vehicle, goes riding around just for a photo op. That doesn't typically happen for normal people, I give you that much, because those people are infected with COVID-19 and typically those people are quarantining. But no, the optics mattered more than the lives of the people that were around him. Normal for Trump, right? He gets out the hospital early and he, full of COVID-19, full of the virus, infected to the hilt, full of it, come out of his orange skin, does this.
Maybe come back there. Ma'am?
He's struggling. Look at his face. Let's go back for a bit. Look at his face. Now, just so we're clear, people wear masks to protect other people. So if you have a bunch of people in a room, everyone has masks, ideally, to some degree, you're protecting each other. It's not perfect, but it's damn sure better than nothing. It's the parable about the people in hell with long spoons. Have you heard about that? Let's say you have in hell, everybody's stuck to their chair and whatnot, and they have a very, very long spoon, so they can't eat their own food. However, if any of these people made the choice of saying, hey, I could feed that guy could feed me, the world's great. Same thing with the mask. This man who's full of COVID-19 rips his mask off for photo op.
Maybe come back there. Ma'am?
The only reason he's doing this, the only reason he is not quarantined, the only reason he is not sitting in a bed somewhere is because Donald Trump wanted to get out there and make the point that, yeah, I got it, which is embarrassing. But if I can recover in like a day, and if I can show the world that it's not that big of a deal, if I can be the alpha male, if I can dominate the virus, dominate it, then I would in some way redeem myself and what I've been saying all along about the virus. I may drop dead doing this, but Lord knows the politics and the theatrics matters more than even my own life. Welcome. Oh, he's back at work. Yes, he's back at work. And he will be at the debates. And I'm going to let you hear what some of the people who are working with Donald Trump think of him. Because keep in mind, he is in an office. There were people who were working around him. He derided people who were wearing masks, meaning people understood it. And so it's unclear how many people this petri dish of a White House actually got infected. And it is ravaging this White House. And it may even affect the Senate confirmation. Because if enough Republicans are sick, are those Republicans going to show up at the Senate in order to cast those votes? Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you dig this content, please like, share, and subscribe. You can always support this content through PayPal or Patreon. Yes, your president has to be said reckless, to call him reckless is an understatement. This is Trump. Again,
I just left.
using, it's basically spinning incompetence into, I dominated the virus. Don't let it dominate you. Even this is politics.
Left Walter Reed Medical Center, and it's really something very special. The doctors, the nurses, the first responders, and I learned so much about coronavirus. And one thing that's for certain, don't let it dominate you. Don't be afraid of it. You're going to beat it. We have the best medical equipment. We have the best medicines, all developed recently. And you're going to beat it.
Just so we're clear, I learned so much about COVID-19. Don't be afraid of it. Don't let it dominate you. The president of the United States that has all the healthcare facility access in the world is not the same as the 30 million people without healthcare. Nor is it the same of the person with comorbidities. Nor is it the same as a person who may be able to dominate the virus because they have a body that can tolerate it, but pass it on because they don't believe in wearing masks because of this nonsense to somebody who can't. This is so over the top and so irresponsible. I have never seen anything like this in regards to a political figure saying something that is just disastrously untrue. There is about 20% of the population that looks at him and says, this is true. And unfortunately, that 10, 15, 20%, whatever that number is, will go out and behave like this. And will go out and believe this. I have met these people, I'm telling you. You may look at this and say, this is ludicrous. And there's like a small segment of the population at this point that believe the White House, but unfortunately, they are there, they exist, and whether those people get caught and die themselves or pass it on to somebody else, this is a problem. Even for the people that are working around him, it's a problem. Let's let him finish. He's president of the United States. Give him his due.
I went, I didn't feel so good. And 2 days ago, I could have left 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I felt great, like better than I have in a long time. I said just recently, better than 20 years ago. Don't let it dominate. Don't let it take over your lives. Don't let that happen. We have the greatest country in the world. We're going back to work. We're going to be out front. As your leader, I had to do that. I knew.
Just to make another point, there are 200,000 dead Americans. 200,000 dead Americans. And he is standing here and saying, don't let it dominate your lives. It dominated their life. They didn't want it to dominate their life, but it dominated their life. It is obscene. You have, 7 million people ill. Those people have healthcare bills now. Those people might have comorbidities that have created additional illnesses. You do realize the majority of the people who get ill from COVID-19 have secondary consequences or have consequences that continue after the disease runs its course. I'm making the point to you that doctors who are dealing with Trump, I guarantee you, are concerned about secondary processes. I mean, even the doctors that came out even said was talking about secondary processes. And then the next day or a day later, Trump comes at home. This is not good advice. This is not a good look. And I understand why he's doing this. Meaning, I get you're embarrassed. I get you looked weak. You looked obscene. You looked ridiculous. It was appalling that you took that particular cadence in that position. And it was divine that you ended up getting ill. The president and the experience of the president that is just so happens somewhere near a billionaire is not the same experience of people going through their day and that have to work their jobs, and that if they get sick, they may lose those jobs. I mean, this is fucking obscene. This should not be the advice that you give Americans. Even if you felt you needed to come out here, that is not the advice that you should give Americans, and that is horribly irresponsible to do so.
There's danger to it, but I had to do it. I stood out front. I led. Nobody that's a leader would not do what I did. And I know there's a risk, there's a danger, but that's okay. And now I'm better, and maybe I'm immune. I don't know. But don't let it die.
You're not immune. You're not immune. You're not immune. Herd immune? Are you fucking kidding me? Do you realize Boris Johnson and the UK was going to go along with that stupid ass idea of herd immunity? Let the weak die off. Let the weak die off. Let the weak die off. Chris Christie said some stupid shit like that. Republicans, even here, were talking about that. Well, we got to get back to work. Let the weak die off. Let the weak die off. You're not immune. You're not immune. And you're probably still infected. Talking about immune. You got to get past the infection stage before you could be immune. You, sir, are still a walking petri dish. And it is a travesty that you're walking around. Is it illegal for me to knowingly give syphilis to somebody else? And if so, why is it not for the President of the United States to take this cadence, to project this to so many people that is so misinformed?
Dominate your lives. Get out there. Be careful. We have the best medicines in the world, and it all happened very shortly, and they're all getting approved, and the vaccines are coming momentarily. Thank you very much. And Walter Reed, what a group of people. Thank you very much.
Look, they can give Trump anything to get him pumped up, uppers, like they be saying for Joe Biden. Do not listen to the president here. And if you want to know what's real, listen to what the people around him are saying. Donald Trump, don't be afraid of COVID, he tweeted. The exact opposite of what any medical professional will tell you. Don't let it dominate you. We will develop great knowledge, etc. We will be back on the campaign trail soon. That's the other part. Meaning they're going back out. Trump also made the point that he's going to be at the debates. Where is it? Right here. He says, I'm looking forward to the debate on the evening of Thursday, October 15th in Miami. It will be great, he tweeted early Tuesday morning after he returned from the White House. Then he added, feeling great. I am feeling awesome. I'm on top of the world. I'm Donald Trump. I feel better than I did 20 years ago, despite just getting out the hospital with COVID-19. His staff doesn't feel that way. So, right here. It is insane that he will return to the White House and jeopardize his staff's health when we are still learning of new cases among senior staff. This place is a cesspool. This is a White House source. He was so concerned with preventing embarrassing stories that he exposed thousands of his own staff and supporters to a deadly virus. He has kept us in the dark, and now our spouses and our kids will have to pay the price. It's just selfish. Is it possible that any of those people that were at that soiree for the Supreme Court Justice, the new one that he's going to put up, Barrett, that they had kids, that they had grandparents that they were taking care of or that they would go see? Is it possible that they had friends that may have certain weaknesses? Is it possible that they had certain weaknesses themselves, like diabetes or high blood? Yes, all of that is possible. And all of those people have been exposed. And all of those people who they interacted with have also been exposed. Last point. Donald Trump is also now spreading misinformation again. Now, that's normal for Trump. But this, Twitter even put a thing on this. Flu season is coming up. Many people every year, sometimes over 100,000, and despite the vaccine, die from the flu. Are we going to close the country down? No. We have learned to live with it, just like we're learning to live with COVID in most populations far less lethal. Most populations doesn't really matter, right? I mean, basically, when we're talking about the flu, we're talking about the flu over the course of the country. And to make this case like, it's just the flu. It's just the flu. I had it for like 2 days. I just blew it off. That's all you got to do. Just blow it off. just blow it off. Well, that's not true. So right here, actual data, you could have looked it up. The annual flu death toll has ranged between 12,000 and 61,000 since 2010, according to the CDC. We are at 200,000 people dead within the course of, 6 months? And yeah, President Trump also told Bob Woodward earlier this year that coronavirus is more deadly even than your strenuous flu. The president is lying to you. The president is lying to you. I'll leave this here. I don't want this one to go long. It is theatrics on a level that is ridiculous. And yet, he does it. And fortunately, the overwhelming majority of the American population doesn't buy this nonsense. And yet, there is a portion that does. Oh, it's aggravating. Trump will be at the debates. I don't know what Joe Biden does with this. I don't know if it helps him, hurts him. Who knows? And to be honest, we don't even know what kind of shape Trump is going to be in because many people have things that go beyond the virus itself. So we'll see. They're testing, of course, people in the White House, even more so now because more and more and more people have been getting infected. But look, this might be for the best. If it's the situation where the Republicans end up getting really ill and they can't make their votes, he can't get his pick across. At least not until he potentially wins the election and then gets his pick across. Like, share, and subscribe. And yes, this is monstrously dystopian. With all of the problems that avail us in this country, we have this fucking theatrical presentation as opposed to actually doing something real. I mean, we have a government that is basically broken. And it's been broken for a very, very long time. But the very fact that it is a crisis at this point and people are desperate. You should see Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell is screaming for money. He's not going to get it. And we're going to have to suffer the consequences. Like, share,